Police clashing with pro-immigration demonstrators on Tuesday. The officers say 15 policemen were injured after some demonstrators got rowdy. At least 10 civilians attending the rally, including 7 reporters, were also hurt. Police fired rubber bullets, did use their batons in some cases, you see it there, which is why Bratton feels a federal look is necessary. Joining us now from L.A., commentator Earl Ofari Hutchinson and Fox News analyst Tammy Bruce, also heard on KBC Radio Saturday nights. Tammy, give me with you. LAPD do anything wrong?
No, as a matter of fact, I think it was a perfect example of their being able to diffuse a riotous situation with non-lethal force. You have rubber bullets and people were bruised. You see no blood in those dynamics. But what's not being shown in this narrative is the fact that the police waited until many of them were injured and having to be taken to the hospital. You have a dynamic where I'll remind you at the riots of '92, where the police position then under Daryl Gates was to do nothing. And a small incident in one specific part of town then ballooned into a citywide riot with fatalities. I think they did a great job. They diffused the situation, and as a matter of fact, and you'll hear this coming out later on, is you had multiple warnings, and the people who refused to heed those warnings were met with non-lethal force, and I think the LAPD diffused a situation that would have gotten wildly out of control.
Okay, but when you see somebody with a baton hitting somebody who's walking backward, that the picture connotes, look, why is the person hitting? They're walking backwards, and you say what?
Well, that is the context, though. When you talk about the narrative, what you don't see is the level of violence exacted against the police and the fact that these are people who heard multiple warnings, that we have audio of multiple warnings, who did not leave, where the projectiles included, Bill, frozen bottles of urine being thrown at the police, meant to clearly injure a number of people. And so what you don't have is the context of why that person is right there in front of the police officer when they had ample time to leave.
That's fair enough. Earl, how do you see it?
Okay, I disagree. I think the police wildly overreacted, and I think the best source of that is none other than Chief Bratton himself. When in living memory have you seen a sitting police chief immediately within 24 hours rush to the scene, call for an FBI investigation? It's almost never done by police chiefs. They police themselves.
He's ready. He wants to be mayor.
The second thing, look at the terminology that Police Chief Bratton used. Grave concern, overreaction, inappropriate. The other thing is multiple warnings were not given. Even Chief Bratton said we had a command officer that wasn't there. He screwed up. The warning came from a helicopter. It was in English. This is a Spanish-speaking crowd. We're not talking about going after lawbreakers. You go after them.
But what about the 15, Earl? What about the 15 people? Look, right now the total is
and reporters, by the way,
15 cops. 15 cops hurt, 7 reporters, 3 civilians. To me, that's not a lot in a very volatile situation. And the police took the most casualties, Earl.
Yeah, but we're not talking about just the injuries per se. That is deplorable, and certainly in many cases, it could have been avoided if, in fact, other tactics have been used. I think in the next few weeks, Bill, what we're going to see is we're going to see a full review of the tactics that were used, and I think what you're going to see come out, many of those injuries could have been avoided if proper tactics.
But isn't that at the doorstep of Bratton? He's the police chief.
It's right at his doorstep.
You know,
he knows it, and to his credit, he has admitted it.
Well, I don't know. Look, I'm going to stay out of this until I know more. But
we have
he was a police commissioner here in New York City. And
yeah, this is a man who wants to be mayor, and he's going to step up to this dynamic. He's a political hack. The truth of the matter
I wouldn't say
he has abandoned.
Bratton did admit it, and we have to give him credit for that.
Bratton has rushed to judgment. Let me answer this here for 1 second. Let me say one thing here, and he's had plenty. My point is, Bratton has rushed to judgment.
We're running out of time. I gotta go.
I
gotta go. Number one, he's not a hack. Okay, he's not. He is a politician. We'll wait and see what comes down. I think that's fair. We appreciate it. Plenty more ahead.